to all of you out there. It's so good to hear from you and see you. I don't know why I always say that in the mornings, in the afternoons, in the evenings. When I do this, I don't know why. Anyway, this is a show called "Is Andre 3000's New Album Demonic?" How many times do I do this? How many times have I done a show like this about demonics and music and transcendental and the effects that music have on our spirit? How many times? Yeah, y'all lost count. I lost count too. So the fight is over this new Andre show. Now, some of you who are old or up in there who was asleep during the early 2000s, Andre 3000 is a name given to the brother who was a member of, I think he's a founding member of Outkast. Sorry, Miss Jackson. That one. And hey, which I thought was a magnificently, brilliantly produced music video. All right. So most people know Andre. Then there's about 5 of you who do not. Andre came out with this new album after 17 years of not releasing nothing. He's known as a rapper. And he came out with this new album, and if you need something to go to sleep to, this would help you. Okay? It's called New Blue Sun, and it's under alternative. That should say something as well. It's under alternative. Let me find some some things here. Hold on. But you cannot read these titles. There's 8 songs here, and you cannot read the titles out loud. But number 1, track 1 says, "I swear I really wanted to make a rap album, but this is literally the way the wind blew me this time." The second one, I can't read that one. But the third one is at question here. That night in Hawaii when I turned into a panther and started making these low register purring tones that I couldn't control. All right. If you go to the liner notes, you'll see in the top paragraph, I know you can't read it, so you'll go to your music apps and you'll see it. You'll see his right up there, and then you read it in the second paragraph. It's 87 minutes of cosmic flute experimentation, entirely wordless, is at once a caveat and a mission statement. He says, "I swear I really wanted to make a rap album." All right. So when you look at that, you will see a man who basically is doing something that many artists have done, both in gospel and in secular. Lauryn Hill is a perfect example. Do y'all remember that one album that blew us all away, and still today it is considered one of the greatest albums in R&B history? The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. We know Lauryn from the movie the Nun movie with Whoopi Goldberg. What's the name of that movie, y'all? The Nun movie, the singing movie. There was 1 and then there was 2. Is she on number 1 or is she on number 2? I think she's on number 2. And she's singing, "Why should I fear discouraged?" Okay. And she is sitting on the piano with that young lady, and then the nun walks in and interrupts them. Thank you. Sister Act. Was it Sister Act 1 or Sister Act Deuce? Can't remember which one. She made her debut. And we was like, wow, who is this girl? And all the gospel stations start playing His Eyes is on the Sparrow Sunday mornings on the way to church. Lauryn came out with his album and blew us all away. Won every Grammy Award there was that year. And then she was done. All right. Portia says, Sister Act 2. She was done. And then what she do? She can't. Okay, somebody said 1. All right. I think it's 2. When Lauryn came out. Then she came out, brother Harry O. Hey, Harry O. Cannon. Good to see you, brother. Wow. Then he came out with she came out with another project that was the total juxtapose of what we know as the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. It was just her on a guitar, acoustic guitar, and there was a conga player in the background, and it was basically poetry. And people were like, bring back our Lauryn, bring back our Lauryn. Okay, yeah, it was number 2. Well, many artists do that. They get to a place where they do music that they always wanted to do. Another case in point, CeCe Winans. CeCe Winans was singing with her brother 2 different love songs and teaming up with what's the pop artist who died and her daughter died too the same way? What's her name, y'all? And they were doing all of these songs, and people thought they were lovers. People thought they were married, but they were brothers and sisters. But they were doing they were doing gospel, but it was ambiguous gospel. I know I can't think of words. I can't think of names today. Whitney Houston, thank you, Lawrence. I can't think of folks. Okay, hold up the light, save the world from darkness. Okay, and then Marlene, CeCe said, "I'm CeCe, and I'm alone in His presence." Ooh, cue in the orchestra. The piano comes in. There's so much joy here. There's so much love here. Oh, there's so much here. And then bam, and she goes into this song that goes into the next track. I said, holy cow. This woman has broke off and finally decided to do something she always wanted to do. She wanted to be alone in His presence. And then from album to album to album, CeCe became my favorite female gospel artist. And took off and left her brother behind. BB started writing, continuing in his ambiguous style of singing songs that you thought were love songs, R&B. It had the R&B flavor, had the R&B look and taste, but it had a little Jesus sprinkled in there. It was more like love and inspiration. CeCe, you knew who she was singing to. And she took off. CeCe went over to CCM. And BB went over to, stayed in gospel, but not necessarily. I'm going somewhere here. BB is a crooner. And I think BB is the best whining singer, second to Marvin. Although the one who died, Ron Winans, I think was the best. He didn't do a whole lot of runs. He wasn't singing really high like Marvin, but that young man's flat foot sang where he went down into your soul, and he would do those Ron Winans Family and Friends projects. Ron was my favorite singer, and then Marvin being as like a Walter Hawkins to Edwin. Edwin was likened to my favorite because he was a crooner. He just sang in tones. This is where I'm going here with the tones. He sang in such a baritonish voice that you just sat there and said, oh, I feel that thing, man. It was so calming. Walter, he was in the rafters. He was more dynamic. He had more skill. I mean, he was just shh. And Walter can take you to variations of places, but if you want a father to sit down and talk to you, it was Edwin. It was Edwin. Marvin did the same thing as Walter Hawkins. He was singing in the rafters. He was writing most of the music. He was so dynamic. He played the piano. He was great. But Ron sat and sang to you like father, and you felt it in your chest cavity. Anybody understand what I'm saying here? It's not that one was better than the other one, although I might have said that, but they just had different things that they did. For instance, on Three's Company, Chrissy, was she the dinky one? Okay, the one with the blonde, and she was the pretty girl, and you would have thought all of the boys wanted to lay with her. But in essence, none of the brothers would take Chrissy. Is Chrissy the one? And she passed, right? What's her name? What's her real name? Yeah, what's her real name, y'all? The brothers would take her in the corner and have their way with her, but they would not bring Chrissy home to meet mother. No, it was the other girl, the brunette. What's her name? Yes, Paul Turner. Edwin sounded like Nat Cole. Yes, Suzanne Summers. Yes, yeah, Suzanne Summers. A lot of the brothers wanted her, but they only wanted her for a few minutes, and they were done. It was the brunette who you took home to mother, because the brunette was the farmer. It wasn't the farmer's daughter. The farmer's daughter would be Suzanne Summers. No, the brunette was the girl next door, Janet. Thank you, Galore. Janet was the love of our lives. That's the one you married. Sisters, y'all better understand how men think. Likened to Gilligan's Island, Mary Ann and Ginger. Ginger was the girl with the beauty mole and the shape and what have you, and all of the brothers would have taken her in the backwoods on the island and had their way with her. But it was Mary Ann. She was the girl next door who you took home to mama. Joyce DeWitt, thank you, G. Bernie, was the roommate. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So we tend to celebrate people who everybody goes, who becomes the one who's go viral. We tend to celebrate them. But in many cases, these people who are, we typecast these people. So in TV and in the movies, we typecast artists, actors and actresses. We typecast them. They typecast themselves. It was difficult for me to see Archie Bunker in a serious role, Heat of the Night. That's Archie Bunker. But he was able to shake the Archie Bunker off. O'Connell, is that his name? Shake the Archie Bunker off and play a serious role in the Heat of the Night, and you was convinced that he was the sheriff. It's not too many people who can do that, and he probably, and some of these actresses will tell you, this is the role I wanted. This is the role I've always wanted. I didn't want to be typecast like that. You understand? Can y'all think of another actor or actress who come from a very typecast, funny role, and then when they did something serious, you said, wow, convincing? Eddie Murphy was able to pull it off on Mr. Beats or Mr. something. What was the movie he did where, thank you, Carol O'Connor, Nancy. Where was the movie where Eddie Murphy played a cook, a chef or a cook for this woman who was dying of cancer? And you was convinced. Thank you, Phyllis. Will Smith. I had Jamie Foxx in my mind, a DW2. What was the name of that Eddie Murphy movie? Thank you, Jackie. Mr. Church. If you haven't seen Mr. Church, you got to see it. You didn't see Gumby. You didn't see, whatever crazy role. You didn't see the clumps. You saw a serious method actor in Mr. Church. And it seemed like this is something that he's always wanted to do. Y'all understand? I'm setting y'all up and taking y'all somewhere. It's a great movie, a tear jerker. Okay? So these actors and actresses, as well as these musicians, they have been known to be these wild and out and great R&B, and then they turn around and do something like Andre 3000 did, and then it's like, dude, what the bleep are you doing? This is horrible. Denzel Washington. Well, Denzel Washington has always played a serious role. I mean, we don't know him as coming from a comedic role to a serious role. So I mean, somebody who was typecast as comedic and went to something serious. It's just a few of them out there. Buddy Epson, that's good, Carolyn. Yes, Buddy Epson is another one. I was shocked. You couldn't see him outside of being grandpa on the Beverly Hillbillies. Okay, so here's thank you, Michelle. Lonnie, Tyler Perry. What was the one where he had taken this young lady in or something like that? He was helping her. It was a very serious role, and I thought he did an amazing job on this. And then he wound up, didn't he fall in love with her or something like that? What was the name of that? Anyway, we're talking about 110,000. I gave him more money. 3,000. 3,000. Is it Mr. Deeds? Mr. Deeds, Colette. Man, Colette, you know all these shows. You know all these shows. I'm telling your man, you spend all day watching TV. Thank you for the super chat, Brown. Farrah Fawcett, not funny, but beautiful, excellent, and Burning Bed. Yes, Farrah Fawcett. True. Absolutely. Monique won an Oscar for the role she played. Is it Precious? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's what Andre said about this movie. I mean, this this new Blue Sun. Andre said, okay, let me pull it up here. I've got the, hold on. Here's what he said on NPR.
Say the title for that one, that'd be good.
Okay, so track 3 is titled That Night in Hawaii When I Turned Into a Panther and Started Making These Low Register Purring Tones That I Couldn't Control. Shit was wild.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, man. This sounds like a straight up ayahuasca trip or
that
something like that.
That is exactly what I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta tell me the story behind this night, man.
Yeah, I was actually in Hawaii, and it was my second night of the first time I'd ever taken ayahuasca, and we did like a 3-night kind of phase. But the first night was inviting and beautiful, and like the most powerful love and connection with all things I've ever felt in my life. Mm-hmm. The second night was different, and everybody knows that Aya will do you that way. Yeah. So the second night, my stomach was hurting. My mouth contorted like a panther, and I actually turned into a panther, and I was doing like that kind of thing. And I actually turned into a panther, and it was doing this thing called toning. Toning is another way of purging, and toning is where you make these vibrational noises that you can't control, and it started playing me like an instrument. And so I started as a panther, and then it would make me do these long kind of tones and started changing the notes. So, and I can only mimic it. So on the album, I'm mimicking. But the funny thing was in the Aya session, I was like, damn, I wish I had my phone so I can record this, because like it'd be so dope. But so on the album, kind of mimicking the sound, but it kind of sounds something like this. So it started playing me in a way that goes like, and it's kind of playing me like changing notes, and I'm not doing it. Wow. I'm witnessing it and I'm watching it, and it holds you for so long. I'm like, where's this breath coming from? And then you end off and you go and do it again, and I'm like, whoa, what is happening right now? So that's what I'm talking about on that title.
Was it scary at the time, or was it like, how did it make you feel at the time? It
was kind of intriguing at the time, because I mean, the sound listener in me, I'm digging the sound, but at the same time, the shaman is coming. He comes over and he's, fanning me, and, he's saying, oh, that's like 20 years of therapy happening right now. So I guess I had to get through that moment. But yeah, it was kind of, it was just interesting, because my mouth actually, like, my mouth shaped like a panther. It like actually made my mouth like, I can't do it through the microphone, but it made my mouth kind of, yeah.
And was this like hours, or how long was it?
Well, most IS sessions last about 6 hours. But it don't feel like 6 hours. It feel like maybe 2 or 3. For me anyway.
Yeah. What do you what do y'all say about that? What do y'all say about that? Because I was reading y'all's comments and I was trying not to laugh. I was trying not to laugh because some of y'all can make me crack up. Some of y'all. All right, it's pronounced ayahuasca here, and it is a South American psychoactive brew, a brew traditionally used by the indigenous cultures and folk healers in Amazon and Orinoco basins for spiritual ceremonies, divination, and healings, and a variety of psychosomatic complaints. Restricted to areas in Peru, Brazil, Colombia, and Ecuador. Okay, yeah, it's something. It's obviously very spiritual, and it's something that you Christians need to stay away from. Andre 3000 never professed in this interview that he was a believer, he was a Christian. As a matter of fact, I'm going to quote him. He says, I have a demonic, or I have a demonish, he called it demonish side. He said that all people have demons in them, and so he just took on the demonish side. He's a humanist. Do y'all understand? So I went to Facebook, and I was sent this. I was sent this by Candace Benbow, who was trying to go against you all, who were saying that Andre tuned this album down to 432 hertz so that you all could feel the warmth. And matter of fact, when I put up a post today, let me show y'all what somebody put in the comment section so that you can see why we're doing this show. Okay. In the show, somebody put up a meme. It was Money Mo. Okay. Money Mo. I can't get to it, but anyway, you'll have to go to my Facebook. And Money Mo says, for those that care, 432 hertz improves mental clarity, removes emotional blockages, reduces stress and anxiety, better sleep quality, increases creativity and inspiration, and strengthens the immune system. Play it while you sleep and watch these areas improve. Now, I did a show on the 432 hertz. I'm going to play it for you all tonight, and my portion will be done, because I got enough shows up there that's too prophetic. Not pathetic. It's too prophetic. It is called an evergreen. It will always be relevant and apropos. So Curtis King said, Andre 3000 said, y'all don't need a new rap album from me. Y'all need healing. Then proceeded to give 80 minutes of flutes tuned in at 432 hertz. After that, I was sent a video. I'm not a video. I was sent this post. I'm going to read to you here by Candace Benbow. All right, you probably can't read it. It's small. For as fun as it has been to laugh at how ridiculous Christians sound when they say Andre 3000's new album is channeling spirits and dark frequencies, when you think about it, it's actually really sad, she's saying. in this anti-intellectual moment, it's not only cool to offer uninformed opinions and lack any critical thought, it's also Christian to do so. Now, this person obviously don't like Christians. To parrot that an album is demonic simply because you don't like, understand, or appreciate the genre it's situated in is the height of of ignorance. And to say that tuning an album at 432 hertz of frequency is luring people from God, when one of the most impactful and beloved gospel albums to come out in the last 5 years was also tuned at 432 hertz. She said it's wild. Now, I'm agreeing with this woman. She talked like the Sirwalterj show. She said, while we can and should disagree on things, I don't think the aim of a Christian should be be an uncritical thinker who says things to sound profound. How are we calling playing a flute a demonic? How are we calling playing a flute demonic when it's a plethora of scriptures that note how playing such an instrument was connected to praise? Are we actually reading that thing, or do we just? I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to disagree with this person. And seriously, what did the flute ever do to y'all? It wasn't demonic. When we all walking around in elementary school with the ice cream, with the cream colored plastic recorders making less than a joyful noise. All right, now she being petty. She being petty. At some point, we will also need to reckon with the fact that a generation is absent from the church because they see their peers who remain and do not want to be like them. They do not want to submit to a faith belief system that looks as if it require idiocracy or idiocy. And when we are in a moment where we have unprecedented access to information, education, and many Christians act like that access is demonic, can you blame them? You can be a Christian and a critical thinker. This is her point here. This is her thesis statement, and she came right back. I think this was a great essay. Hey, my moody professor would give her an A on this one right here. We are called to be transformed by the renewing of our minds, not letting them turn to mush. Now, she probably is a Christian, so her beginnings sound like me. So some people think I'm not a Christian. So tonight I was going to talk about racism and how Christians act towards people who don't act like them. That was my plan. But just a couple hours before the show, I thought it was important for me to get the Andre 3000 out of my head, because I was going to do it eventually, but then something so strong inside know that I can make said, no, do it tonight and get it out your head, because I put up a post this morning when I rise, I ain't have no doubt. I said, are you having problems sleeping at night? Pick up the new Andre 3000 album. You're welcome. All right. Typically, when I post something in the morning on Facebook, that is my advertisement that you all are going to see a show that night or the next day. So when I post on social media, I'm not just posting on social media because I want to be social with you all. It's actually my job. My job is to be on social media because it is used as free advertisement for a show, and most of the bunkers know. That's why you will see them go in the comment section after a post and say, I can't wait till tonight's show. All right. So, people sometimes say, you didn't call me today, but you're on Facebook. I've been hearing that for years. And I would say, because I would never say to you, you didn't call me, but you went on your job and got a paycheck. I would never say that to you. All right. So I go on social media. It only takes me a minute, 30 seconds to post, and then I'm gone. I don't babysit my posts. I just walk away, and then I come back a few hours later, see what the comments are, and then I develop my show here in the evil lair. Now y'all know my secret. I should have put that in the Patreon. Okay, y'all get it now? You get it? So if you see me on social media, I'm studying you. Keep talking. I'm examining you. All right. Are y'all offended? Huh? How many are offended? Raise your hand. How many of you are offended right now that you know this is what I do? All right, so now what I'm going to do, this other thing that's under my, there's nothing under my sleeves. Now for my next trick, I'm going to play the show I did a year ago, which is so on point, okay? I'm going to play the show and show y'all how this works. Now, for those of you who are watching live, I would like to first of all apologize because the show is a long show. It's too long. It's actually 2 hours. I was only going to play it an hour and a half tonight. I know y'all say only. I was only going to play an hour and a half tonight and put the rest on Patreon, okay, which I'm still going to do. So for those of you watching live, unfortunately, you got to sit here and watch it or wait until the show is over and then fast forward. So those of you watching this later tonight after the show or tomorrow, or whenever you're watching it, you can fast forward it an hour into it so that you can get to the whole 432 hertz. But I will say you're going to miss out on some great music theology 101. All right. You're going to fast forward towards away from a lot of great stuff that the bunkers have been inundated with. Okay. So if you don't want to hear all of my education, the miseducation of Sirwalterj, fast forward an hour in from the beginning of this show, from what I'm getting ready to play now, fast forward another hour in, and you'll get to, when you see me take the keyboard and remove it off the table, that's where you can play. See, I'm helping y'all. I'm trying to help y'all. All right. Also, you're going to hear me smacking a lot. It's because I had my Invisaligns in before I got my teeth all repaired. I had my Invisaligns in, so I'm going to be smacking. Number 2, I was bald-headed. I didn't have no hair. No hair at that time. All right. Other than that, we should be good. Okay. I love y'all. Take care of yourselves and one another. If I can, I might come back in and see if y'all have any questions, but I think it's gonna be really too long. If it getting too long, I'm gonna have to stop it and just say, listen, good night, everybody. All right, y'all. Music Theory 101. What's up with the 432 hertz? Are there demonic chords? On and on. It's a masterclass of music theology. Take care of yourselves. I love y'all. That's a beautiful melody. Let's put a reverb on it. One more time. That's a pretty melody. And when I was coming up, I heard melodies like this, and it sounds so wonderful. And I heard different sounds and chords and structures and what have you, and it helped me to write many songs. I'm gonna show y'all some of my stuff. But then some kind of happened in the education of music as I started to discover there was some fighting going on back in medieval time that people assumed was, and there was this chord that was considered a demonic chord. Maybe, possibly, this chord is used in gospel music, which is causing people to act a certain way, and the music has progressed in such an outlandish, worldly way that maybe there's some science behind a lot of this. All right, here's a song here. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. It's an innocent song. One of my favorites. Just like the one I used to know. Listen, and children listen. Uh-oh. That's an evil chord. That is considered demonic, forbidden. Yet it's throughout a lot of the songs that we sang down through the eons of time, and even the Catholics who during the medieval time, who considered that chord was evil. Yet when I was in the Catholic system in South Dakota, that chord was played a lot. Here's one by Richard Smallwood did a wonderful thing, but he took what was classical. All right, his wonderful overture at the beginning. And then when he gave us that total praise, it's a beautiful medley. So wonderful. One of his greats. All you hear is, absolutely, you hear classical here, you hear religious music, you hear everything that's close to what we know as religious or sacred music. He gets to the end of the song. Amen. It gets dark. Uh-oh. It gets dark. You might as well do that. It's considered very evil. So what do we do with all of this stuff that's been going through y'all's head on the history and what this music does for us? Because there is this a particular vibration called the 432 Hertz, which many people, if you search Google, you search YouTube, all over the place, you'll see many people talking about the 432 Hertz, which makes people feel comfortable. I agree with a lot of the science, but I don't believe in a lot of the hype that the science has brought to y'all's homes. So we need to talk about this, because music is based around do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's it. Although they say that there's more to that, and I agree. You see, God gave us music. He gave us these notes. He gave us hertz and frequencies. He gave all this, but we think we have it all. We do not. And this is why science continues to bump into that which they thought was that they knew, but they don't know. The earth is now spinning faster. I just saw an article on it. And science can't understand why is the earth spinning faster. It's not supposed to. There's something in this music that we can't understand. But God put something in this music that calls us to have certain emotions. And I'm going to try and talk about that in about 60. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, Sirwalterj Jones, man. This is your man, Fred Hammond. Listen, congratulations on your YouTube channel. And I want to encourage everybody to check out Sirwalterj Jones' YouTube channel, where he is going to encourage you in the word. Man, continue doing kingdom business, brother, and do your thing.
Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm he. It is the evening edition, baby, 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 baby. Come on in, water's fine. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this show today because there's so much I need to talk about here. It's so much. Bunkers, how y'all doing? Y'all all right? All right. Listen, my grandmother would always say, listen. These are scissors here. Okay, these scissors are used in my house for good. Well, I had a hymn that needed. I need my hymn. The string. I saw a string hanging at the bottom of my leg, and so I pulled. I said, "Uh-oh, you shouldn't have pulled it." And I pulled it, and unfortunately, it started to unravel. The nice sew job that my tailor did. So I had to take that pants off. All right, this right here, I had to go click. It was good. It cut open all my Amazon packages. All right, the scissors. But these scissors also can be used for evil. It depends on the hands that's holding the scissors. Good versus evil. Someone who was upset with their husband because he was cheating. This scissors might be somewhere implanted in his body somewhere. Good or evil. And I've noticed that when it comes to music, this is what's been going on with our music forever. Calling good music evil because a lot of young people don't like to come to church, especially the old churches that have been established, because they're looking at traditional music. Okay, all right. That's what I come up under. That's all I knew when I was coming up. The young people were like, okay, that's old pops. It just sounds so old. Okay, I get it. So they call him was good evil and was evil good. But the church have always borrowed from the world. And I'll just demonstrate that in a minute, because the world has always borrowed from the church. They all were one and the same when I was coming up. You just didn't know it because you didn't know the history behind it. This ain't nothing but boogie woogie. That's all it is. Now, fire is good. All right? Fire is real good. Fire cooks my dinner. But let me show y'all something about fire. All right? We even have a song called Fire, Fire, Lord, Fire, Fire, Lord, Fire. Okay, I'm in two different keys. My bad. All right? Holy Ghost, fire. Right here, we see fire doing something else. The sin of Nadab and Abihu. Remember that fire? Aaron's sons put coals of fire in their incense, burners, and sprinkled incense over them. In this way, they disobeyed the Lord by burning before him the wrong kind of fire. Different than he had commanded. So fire blazed forth from the Lord's presence and burned them up, and they died before the Lord. Strange fire. Then Moses had to talk to his brother. This is what the Lord meant when he said, bruh, I will display my holiness through those who come near me. I will display my glory before all people. And Aaron went silent. What do you do with it? My boys are gone. Why? Because they presented strange fire. Is that what's going on today in gospel music? Strange fire. Or what happened to the respect of the sound? Whatever happened to the respect of the sound? When I was on a military base in South Dakota, it was an Air Force base. I remember the man who I went to go see was a tenor in my choir. He was in the military. I forgot where he was in rank, but his wife was preparing dinner for us. Myself, his wife, he, and his 2 children were sitting at the dinner table getting ready to eat dinner. I looked out the window. His house is on the base, the military, the Air Force base. And there were cars up and down, military cars, military, people in all of their brass. And then I heard, what happened? I'm getting ready to dig into my food. He said, "Wait, brother." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Wait." I looked outside while that was playing, and the people who were walking down the street, they stopped. I looked out the window, and the people who were driving their cars pulled over. Nobody moved. I said, "Wow, what is going on here?" And when they got through, he said, "All right, let's eat." God, we thank you for this food. I was like, what? He said, "Oh, no, we respect that, man. We respect that." He's in the military. He was trained and taught how to respect. When that trumpet plays, you stop. It kind of reminded me of the book of Daniel, chapter 3, when the instrument played, you bowed. But this was different. This was a level of respect that I noticed that have left the church. Nobody drove, nobody walked, nobody ate. I said, what if somebody ate? And I said, what about these people who are not in military, these civilians? He said, even civilians, they don't walk. He says, if a police, what do y'all call a military police? If they see someone driving or walking, they'll say, "Hey, wait, stop, cease, halt. Can't you hear?" I was blown away. And I had to take that back to my church. And I had to talk about it, even with my children. I said, the level of respect and reverence that's given, that I just saw on that bass, makes me wonder what happened to this. Y'all sing this song in church. "I'm in the army, Lord." There's 2 army songs. "Want you to bless my soul," and the other one is "In the army of the Lord." I have a friend who we tease each other with. I used to thought the song said "In the yummy Lord," but it's "I'm a soldier in the yummy Lord. I'm a soldier in the army. I believe I'll die in the army." You usually say that for the end. You say, "I got my war clothes on in the army of the Lord. Got my war clothes on in the army." Okay? And you go on with the boots and what have you. Then, "I believe I'll die in the army." You are lying. You are lying. You do not belong in God's army, because as soon as somebody put a barrel to your head and say, "I'm gonna take your life," but you gotta, if you deny the Lord, "I won't take your life," a lot of y'all will be like, "Lord, who is this Jesus? I never heard of him. Is he a stranger in the land? Is he a disease? I don't want him. Save my life." You're lying. In the army, Lord. So this music ability that y'all have, the singing and the playing and musicianship, it's not a spiritual gift. This is the problem. that I'm having with you people because you overly spiritualize this music to the point where you worship the music and the person performing the music, because a lot of it is performance. Then you do the creator who created the music. He created it for him, for his enjoyment. And what y'all have done was you brought in these actors and stars and all these people, and you paid them big bucks to come to your church or your arena or your venue, what have you, and you worshiped the person and the band and the many chords. Go to an average church right now where there's a band and look in the audience, especially if there's young folk in the audience. The band is doing all kind of nice little intros and stuff like that. And watch the young folk looking at the band. They are so enthralled with the band. They are so pipered with the band. They're so enamored and drunk. Wow. Oh, you see that chord? And it's during high worship when we all supposed to be. Can you imagine if in Acts chapter 2, they had a band there? This is why I'm glad there was no music mentioned. When Peter and John and James and many of them went out there to evangelize, they didn't need no music. They didn't need no music to evangelize no one. The only time you saw that was when they were in jail and they needed to sing a song or hymn for them. They didn't know what was going to happen. I don't believe that they knew that the jailhouse rock was getting ready to happen. And they needed it for them. And all of a sudden, the earth just shook. But can you imagine in Acts chapter 2 that the band is playing and everybody looking at the band? Woo, that's nice. That's nice. That's a distraction. And that's what y'all do in church. You young folk are distracted by all of the clever runs and chords that the musicians do, and the singer doing all of the Kim Burrell runs. Ooh, girl, it's a club. That's what the church is. So Beyonce only sang about what she know. Music is not a spiritual gift. It's a talent. It's a wonderful ability to do what you do, but there's nowhere in the scripture where it's a spiritual gift, because there's a difference between a gift and a talent. Do you understand? I know y'all hate me when I say that, but you can't find it in the scripture. 1 Corinthians chapter 12 give a pecking or a list of spiritual gifts. Romans chapter 12 as well give us a list of spiritual gifts. And not one of them is music. Not a one. God invented this music like he invented the trees and the grass and fruits and vegetables. Those are not gifts either. But he created this so that it can be in harmony with the person, in harmony with a person's body, his mind, his strengthens his soul, his spirit. Okay, food goes into a body and it strengthens and it nourishes the body so the person can live on. Well, music enters into a person's body so that the person can be encouraged or inspired. All right, unless the world uses it. All of this is about intent. So spiritual gifts are all these things that we see in the scripture, but the music is what's used to enhance the spiritual gift. Because Elisha, when he was called to prophesy, he called for somebody who was gifted enough, which is talented. That's what that gift is. Who was talented enough. Or the Old Testament uses, or King James will say, skillful. David was skillful. David was skillful. God gave him a skillful and ability too. So God can use the music like he can use the fruit, like he could use the birds, like he can use light. All this stuff he uses because that's the elements. All these are not spiritual gifts. These are all elements that God created. Do you understand? So in Elisha's case, he used the music. And Elisha called for the minstrel, who was skillful. The minstrel played, and then Elisha used his what? His gift. Y'all better hear me. Y'all can disagree all you want to. David was skillful. Nowhere does it say that he had a spiritual gift to play the music. He just was skillful. Where it come from, we don't know. He might have learned it when he was a child, or some people just have this ability to play music and they have no teachers or what have you. They just have this ability to do it because God uses all the elements, all the things that he created. He can use it to do whatever he wants to do with it, but don't call it what it ain't. And so David played the harp, and then that boy, king, that evil spirit from the Lord. Wait a minute. The Bible says that an evil spirit entered into Saul. It came from the Lord? How is that possible? I thought there was no evil in the Lord. Well, that's the problem with some of y'all's understanding of King James. Come on. God-given ability. That's what it is. I try to tell my so-called friends that the Bible says gifts make room, not necessarily talent. Come on, the music company. Okay, now I could break that down in so many ways. So in walk the psalms, hymns, spiritual songs, encouraging one another in the Lord. Did we see psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs at the Stella Award? I don't know. Because I turned it on. I never watched it. So I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you. I bet you it wasn't. I bet you it wasn't none. I bet you it wasn't none. Why is it that when we don't come for any other artist's talent, the way we come for music, we didn't go bananas like that regarding authors, sculptors, painters. We do come after, Natalie. What's wrong with you, girl? Right. Come on, Dinah. Or do we see that at the Dub Awards? I don't know. So let's explain what that is. Here's a psalm. Psalm is cries for help. All right. You can get your pen out if you want to, or you can just rewind the show. What is a psalm? Okay. Cries for help. When you open up the book of Psalms, that's what you see. It's also laments, lamentation. Because somebody tell me what a lament is. And when you can, if you read the Psalms, you can direct your chords to it. Cries for help. We may call it warfare. This is warfare. Piano's so small I can't get it. Okay, this is the sound, the roaring sound that I heard coming up. These are preacher chords. All right. So right now you all are calling warfare. You're calling it whatever you're calling it now. Well, when you read the Psalms, you hear that minor. You could hear the minor in it. Laments. It's a sorrowful chord. Okay, what's going on here? And when I would hear the melody, y'all remember the Incredible Hulk? I'm talking about the TV show, The Incredible Hulk in the 1970s. Bill Bixby, all right? Courtship of Eddie Pop. I'm sorry. I wanted to play that. This is a fun song. Go back. The Incredible Hulk at the end. I always watch it to the end because I wanted to hear that one song. Something like that. It was the most beautiful thing that I had ever heard. I was like, wow. Because this man lived in torment all his life. He could not get this thing out of him. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And he would just tear up the place. And he would have to go from town to town. And he would walk away. something like that. It's beautiful. What is that? It's a psalm, lament, soap opera music. Yeah, they don't, Tiffany. They don't make it like that anymore. Questions about God's plan. That's another psalm. All right. Question is, will I ever leave you? The answer is no. Now that wouldn't be considered a psalm, but the lyric form, questions about God's plan. Number 4, often ending with a call to praise and worship. Many of the psalms end with a call, praise the Lord, with the timbre and harp. Everything that have breath, praise the Lord. Y'all understand? Number 5, a psalm is usually played with string and percussion instrument. This is considered, if this was a real acoustic piano, this would be considered a percussive instrument, absolutely, and it could be in the string section as well. It's a percussive instrument if it was acoustic because there are hammers that are hitting strings. Understand? So it's in the what's called the rhythm section. When you hear let the rhythm section play. That'd be the piano, the bass, the lead guitar, the drums, the rhythm section, because the piano is hitting hammers against a string, and that string is a harp, which y'all understand, okay? And so that's what psalms are usually played on. Then we go into what's called a hymn. Hymns are my favorites. Hymns are my favorite. A hymn gives praise, like a song. It honor, and it gives thanksgiving to God. Hymns still are being written today, like some psalms, but hymns have not ceased. Hymns have not ceased. They're still being written today. And they are gosh, there's a whole bunch of songs I can think of. Number 2, not necessarily a part of Scripture or written by divine inspiration. Y'all didn't know that, did you? A hymn is not necessarily a part of Scripture or by divine inspiration. Not necessarily. And many of the songs that y'all got in your hymn book is not by divine inspiration. Nor many of them don't have not one Scripture reference in it. Thomas Dorsey had a horrible thing that happened to him, with his mother died, and then the child died after that. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me home, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am old. Man, you go to the Baptist church, they tear it up. Well, there's no scripture in there. This is an experience that happened to him. Y'all got him here. What a friend we have in Jesus. How great thou art. All these songs here. So when she says that music is demonic, where is he getting it from? Edward Rather, I'll talk about him in a minute because I saw his show last night. I saw his show last night. My favorite, obviously, my favorite keeps switching. Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full in his wonderful face. And the one thing about these hymns is that you can do whatever you want to with them. You could put some, obviously I put a lot of jazz and I put a lot of classical in them. You can do really whatever you want to. It's still a hymn. We get caught up in the beat, in the meter, in the rhythm of it. We get caught up in the muse. But there's no such thing as a gospel melody. It's all about the lyric form. Y'all understand? In walk G. Craig. I get in trouble all the time. And the things on earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory. want to with a hymn. There's no right way. There's no bad way. Okay. Number 3, it include doctrinal truths in the hymns. It doesn't mean it has to be a verse that's been sprinkled in there, but the truth or the principles of the scriptures can be in there. It's a truth. Number 4, it's often metrical. It's a metrical poem, and it is metered out. Okay? It could be 3, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 4, 4. It's metered out. So many ways you can do this. Number 5, usually sung corporately. They sang a hymn and they left. Matthew 26 and 30. They ate communion and they sang a hymn. Number 6, the structure is derived from classical music, is what you've been hearing. Sung in harmony. That's why we played at the beginning the Richard Smallwood tune. All right, so when he went in there, when he did that, beautiful, brilliant. So beautiful. You can do whatever you want to with it. You can keep it simple, or you can play with it. Classical. That's the whole fabric and the foundation of hymns. You hear a lot of it. We took it somewhere else, but that doesn't mean that it's not a hymn anymore because we decided to put some soul to it, or some soft rock to it. I've heard a rendition of "Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus" by the Caucasian woman. What is her name? It was so beautiful. You know, she took it. Oh, turn your life upon Jesus. Oh, turn your life upon Jesus. I mean, I said, wow, I like that. You CCMized it. Is it Lauren? Is that her name? Oh, she just took me someplace. She took me someplace with it. It's okay whatever you want to do with it. It's your choice. Just make sure you keep it as close as you can so that people can recognize it. Last is spiritual songs. Psalms, hymns, spiritual songs. Now here where we get into they maybe did some stuff with the Stella that is relevant to spiritual songs. Okay? Number 1, general songs that deals with a wide variety of sacred themes. The problem with what's so-called spiritual songs today, because y'all not singing hymns, y'all not singing psalms. So the only other style that's in the Bible is spiritual songs. Well, we rarely hear it because every time we hear a song by one of your favorite gospel artists, it is that lyrically is talking about some kind of hurt or harm or negative. It's all about my pain, my destruction. Yes, Tim. I'm sorry, Tim. Why am I saying Tim, Tina? Absolutely. Trust in the Bay is my number 1, by the way. It's my number 1. Like I said, it fluctuates. Absolutely. It's one of the greatest hymns ever written. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus. you trust and now, just because a song was in the hymn book don't really make it a hymn. A lot of these people are just pushing out all these hymn books, and I see songs in there, I'm like, why is Stomp by Kirk Franklin in the hymn book? I don't understand. I just don't get it. So, general song that deals with wide variety of sacred themes. Number 2, may not be towards God directly, but will encourage the body. So what you all are doing is you think you're encouraging the body, but when I hear some of these gospel songs, I'm more depressed. Yeah, and I understand what y'all saying. I'm coming out songs. And then y'all start writing songs about my haters, and I don't get it. Some of it just makes no sense. What does that lyric mean? What does it mean? It doesn't encourage, it doesn't enhance my life whatsoever. It's just something you borrow from the world. Do you love God? You don't love God? What's wrong with you? I get what you were trying to do, but man, you too doggone old to be trying to sound like young folk. You too old. All right, so it's okay to update your music, but good Lord. Number 3, spontaneous and can be inspired by the Holy Spirit. Every song I've ever written was spontaneous and inspired. When I wrote the, I've written so many, I don't remember. I drew a blank just that fast. Anyway, when I write a song, I sit at the piano. All right. Here are all my songs. I wouldn't say all because 500 of them got taken and thrown in the garbage and burned up. 500 songs gone. That was my first folder. I was a young man in high school. And I cried like a baby because I'll never know what I wrote in those. And then I had to start all over again. This is another one. This is about 2,000 songs, okay? These are all my originals. And sometimes I want to inspire myself. I go in here and I look and say, wow, I wrote that? What's the melody to that? Because back then it was just cassette tapes. You know? And so a lot of stuff was recorded, and I still have some cassette tapes in my garage thingy. All right. I can pull out. But then it's like, okay, this melody goes away. All right. But they were all my point is they were all inspired. I sit at the piano and I said, now God, do something with my hands and my brain. Do something. And then I just start playing the melody. I need lyrics. Book of Revelation. Okay, it don't matter. As corny as it may sound, I'll write them down and then I'll play it back and then I'll say, let's remove that line. That don't make no sense. That one didn't rhyme that right. That could have rhymed, but that's called a close rhyme. It don't always have to be a direct rhyme. It could be a half rhyme or close rhyme. All this stuff. And when I get through, I got a hit on my hand. Then I go open up my laptop and put some strings, bass guitar, some drums, some xylophones, you name it. And now I got this big boomy sound. That is a spiritual song. So number 1, general song that deals with a wide variety of sacred themes. Number 2, may not be towards God directly, but will encourage the body. Number 3, that was number 2. Number 3, spontaneous and can be inspired by the Holy Spirit. Number 4, often referred to as praise and worship. This is the sound that we're hearing today. We'll get into that in a minute. Number 5, music is the main feature, played by different instruments. That's what spiritual songs do today. it adds all these other instruments in that the psalm didn't add in. Number 6, it is a genre of music widely created by who? African Americans. So when you Google spiritual songs, you'll hear that even white folks are telling y'all it was widely, not exclusively, but widely created by African Americans. Sing-along, work songs, plantation songs, social content songs, Negro spiritual songs, all right? That's where a lot of these songs come from. All right, and I believe most of the American song, the American experience in song was created by African Americans. I just saw a documentary on Elvis Presley on how he pretty much ripped off the black community, ripped them off. He ripped them off. Jerry Lee Lewis ripped off the black man, just ripped them off. And it basically became, all right, let me stop. Number 7 later became known as gospel songs. So the first recording was from Arizona Drains. You all can Google her, Arizona Drains, first recording, June 17th, 1926. Where? Right here in Chicago, the birthplace of gospel music. John said he saw a number. All right, and then in walks Rosetta Tharpe with the guitar. That's the experience that we have. I gave you the history of it. So then in walks this thing about the demonic chord, the diabolis in musica, the diabolis, which is the demonic chord. It's called the tritone, y'all. That's what that is. That is a demonic chord that was supposedly have been an evil chord used in, or forbidden to be used in medieval times. Well, there's nothing written that says that that is absolutely correct, that it was not. It's just that, unfortunately, it was hardly used in medieval times. So because it was hardly used in medieval times, people consider it as being evil. And so what happens is over time, tales and old wives' tales pop up, and then we begin to believe that that's what it was. You understand? But the reason why it's not played because of what it does to the mind. It is a dreamy chord. Every time somebody in a movie or a sitcom, you know, I remember when. It's always, and it's usually played by a harp, okay? But it's the tritone because it's tri or 3 whole tone intervals. Whole tone. It skips tone. That's what's called a whole tone. It's in intervals, and it divides the octave in 2 parts. This part. That's what makes it a tritone, or what we may call an augmented fourth, for those of you who are into this stuff, okay? But because of you've heard of cognitive dissonance, okay? Well, in music, we use the word dissonance too a lot. Because of it is dissonant, it sets up our expectation for what is called a resolve. All right, so if we're in the key of C, this is... What does it sound like? It's like a Beach Boy, or it sound like a Beatles song, or it sounds like the Monkees song. And I saw her face. I'm a believer, not a trace out of my mind. Okay, right, that's what that is. So it leaves it open for resolve. So that. And who did this brilliantly? The Winans did it a couple times. The Winans did it a couple times. They started off with they hit a chord, and I thought, wow, brilliant. Let My People Go. They went. What was it? Something like that. There it is. Then, oh Pharaoh, let my people. Something like that. Okay, let my people go. It was brilliant. Just that. But I believe before they did that, though, or maybe on the same album, I can't remember, they came out with this song here. Tomorrow, give my life tomorrow. I thought about today. Oh, but and walk away. Tomorrow. Remember? Tomorrow, very well might be someday. And who said tomorrow will ever come? For you will laugh and play and get along too. Right there. When I heard that, I said, ooh, demonic. And say, oop, tomorrow in my life. I said, wow. See how they snuck that in there? And Carbon, the one who's singing this song, is the one who wrote the melody. Make it like it was, the way it used to be. Make it like it was. Okay. I know the man to make it like it was. I was like, what? Regina Bell? That was the Winers boy who wrote that. But when you look at the lyric form, it's ambiguity. It goes both ways. I'll tell you. So this demonic tritone, 3-whole tone interval was not played. I couldn't play it when I was playing for the Catholic Church. The problem is it was called semantic shift. All right? Somebody say that word for me. Semantic shift. That is the study of. All right? The semantic shift is what happens with us when we're reading the King James Bible. And then what we do is we then over time we started to look at the other translations, ESV, NLT, NIV, Message Bible, what have you. And then there was a semantic shift that happens that what one word meant in the King James don't mean it anymore today. So the semantic shift is like the word demagogue. Demagogue is a negative word. It means tyrant, but it didn't mean that. It means a popular leader. So to say that he's a demagogue was a positive. God is considered in the King James an awful or a terrible God. All right? Awful means inspiring awe. All right, that's what it meant. But it changed because of the semantic shift. So the semantic shift in what we say is an evil chord, what was an evil chord, now is a beautiful melody. Y'all understand? And I believe that there's something in our food that causes our sickness. I believe there's something in our food that is causing many of you to be obese. The church is so sick. You know, people walking, when you ask for somebody, you ask for prayer, people are coming up to the altar. Half the church coming to the altar because the people are so sick today. And I believe it has a lot to do with what is in the American food. Okay? You talk to somebody who was, and your girlfriend who was in your high school buddy, and y'all both wore $1.25. You know, you wore only 109 pounds. Fast forward now, 20, 30, 40 years later, and you and her is obese. And everybody in your class is obese. And it hit African American women in an alarming rate. It's sad. It's nothing to make fun of. We shouldn't be joking about women's weight. But it's a sad, sad reality. I've got a class reunion to go to next weekend, I believe it is. Next weekend, I think. And I know that everyone I'm going to bump into, everyone, going to be overweight. Not just the women, the brothers as well. But mostly, it seems like it's hitting the women. What is this? There's something, I believe, in the system, in the food, what we're eating. Likewise, there's something in the music. There's something in our music that is causing an imbalance. Mental imbalance. This is why in many hospitals, mental hospitals, it's all about the color and the music for mental health. Y'all better hear me. In mental hospitals, it's about color, because certain colors, when it enters into the eye sockets of a person, can cause a person to be moody, especially if it's pink or something like that. That's why they always have soft colors like white and what have you. Don't put red in there. And music. And the music usually played in the elevator is classical music. Or muzak is what they call it. Why? You hear this soft music played in hospitals and what have you. Why? Because they know how the music affects the psyche, and it affects you mentally too. When you go to a movie theater, then the music is playing because they understand not just the style of music will pull you in, but it's called prosody. The melody tied with the lyric, tied with what's going on the big screen, pulls you in, which will cause you to feel a certain way, happy, sad, mad, angry. And I told y'all about my experience with walking into the theater with my girlfriend and watching Forrest Gump. At the very beginning, I heard this. I was no good. I was no good. Not one actor said a word. All we saw was people walking up and down the town square. We haven't even seen Forrest Gump. Hadn't even seen the black woman yet sitting on the bench. It was a feather dropping from the sky. And I'm sitting like... Yes, Basha, I squealed just like that. I was a punk. I was a little 6-year-old girl. They knew what they was doing. They messed me up. And then all through the movie, they kept bringing in certain music for whatever Forrest was doing in the era in which he was doing it. I'm trying to tell y'all, that's what's happening in the music today. Even in your church, when the preacher gets up to speak, what he's saying would determine whether I do this or I do this. Now, the announcements today, everybody, we're going to have a chicken dinner at 5 o'clock. Y'all come now. It's only $10. Bring grandmama. Bring my dad. It's going to be real good. You understand? But he might be saying something where there's someone sick. Now, God, I ask, you come in this room right now. Right now, Lord. Right now. Right now. Heal, set free, and deliver. Whatever he say, I set the atmosphere. Bronson said, I'll be there with $20 in my hand. Okay? This is the way. That's why musicians get so much money, because they could shift the atmosphere in that place. Well, music does that. In walked this thing called the 434 Hertz. All right, now let me see. It's gonna be a little popping sound. Let me move that out the way. All right, let me move this out the way. I'll bring that back in a minute. All right, I was watching this thing here because I was studying. I've been studying music all my life. All my life I've been studying music, and why does music work the way it does? People often ask me, why you know so much about music? It's because I entered into the science and the study of it. I want to know, why does music do what it do? So I enrolled in these classes. Back then I couldn't really afford it, so I would go out there and do little paper routes or whatever. I would go out there and hustle and try to make some money so that I can buy programs. And so here's a couple of the programs that I bought that helped me with my music ability today, and why I don't play certain tones and frequencies and stuff like that, because I know how it affects folks. I don't walk in certain venues, and if I hear a certain tone of frequency, I walk out. I walk out. Mm-hmm. This right here is doing music and nothing else. I bought this program, Peter Nichols. All right. And it taught me about the music, pretty much the music industry. That's what this did. You'll see, pretty much it was the cassette tapes. That's what that was all about. But it came with a workbook. All right, this workbook here. This was back in the late 80s, y'all. I talked with him on the phone, and I wanted to know what was going on with him and why did he write this? Why did he put this together? And he told me his history, okay? It's old. I mean, it's old. You can see old mail from the Student Activities Office. All right, I would travel to schools, and this one here, 1994, actually, that's what this is. Okay, I would travel to the universities with my band, and when my band would play, we would put polls out. I would draw up a poll and ask the people, the students, what did they think about my music, my song, my style? Was it too loud? Because I knew that later in life it was going to help me. And then I signed up with Ty Cohen. He's not in the music business anymore. He's into more Amazon books now. But I signed up for this, and as you can, all the tapes are gone. The tapes are gone, but this was a tape collection. But my baby is what I'm getting ready to talk about right now, is this baby right here. The Audio Institute of America, recording engineer. This book right here is where most of my knowledge on the sonics of sound comes from. What is sound? All right. And this brother right here, I talk with him. This is Peter Miller. All right. Former recording engineer with major record label, a top 20 recording artist who toured extensively with the Beatles and the Rolling Stones during their manic heyday of the 60s. I learned more about music in this book right here that blessed my soul. All right. Frequency, sonics, microphones. I know everything I can tell y'all so much about microphones, the shotgun microphones. All right, man, let me tell you, the techniques of how to use the microphone, recording drums. Oh, man, and all this might be old, but none of it is outdated. All right, and so you can see it was cassette tapes. It was cassette tapes. So I've been studying not just the music industry, I wanted to know, how does music affect the psyche more than anything? So I passed the course, and then I went right to work. So I was looking at some of the videos on YouTube, okay, and I was looking at how we have really gotten kind of carried away.
Whether these theories are true or not, one thing is certain. The frequency that music is tuned to has a...
I'm going to show y'all something here. All right, this is from Hidden Powers of Frequency and Vibrations video, because we're talking about the 434 Hertz, all right, which was a question that came to me the other day. I always tell y'all that everything has a constant state of vibrations. Everything has a resonating point. Everything, including every cell in your body, has a point. That's why when someone is driving down the street and they have their car, the music up, and they, nowadays y'all buy these cars, and then you can't put groceries in the trunk because y'all buy these big speakers and you put it in the trunk, and then all you hear is boop, ooh, 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 ooh. And my dear be having heart attacks. She be having heart attacks because of the frequency. The low frequencies can be damaging to her body. It throws off the body's vibrations. I'm telling y'all, this is a science, and this is something that God has used. And I believe he used it in the Old Testament to conquer the enemy. Because this music goes into us like food does. Food can take us off balance, and music too, based off its frequency, hertz level, can take us off balance. But some of y'all are taking this to an unhealthy, religious way, and you got to be careful not to get caught up in the mysticism and going into occultic talks and Eastern stuff, transcendental stuff with this. You got to be careful. So a lot of this is true, but you've got to know how to regulate the information that comes to you. You understand? 432 hertz is pure. It's a purest form, they say, of math fundamentals. You hear her say something like that in here. So it was, and I'll show y'all how our tuning, our universal international tuning, is 440 hertz. So somebody will say, give me an A. That's the note that we tune to. A concert A, they would say. But I believe in my heart of hearts that God used this to tear down the wall of Jericho. I believe the Lord gave me this years ago. Why? Because it was based off of sound manipulation. Sound manipulation. He told them to march around the wall. You see, God doesn't need to do miracles on the earth because he had already gave us an earth with everything in it that he needed. And the 10 plagues that was given to the Egyptians from God was not miraculous. They didn't need a miracle. God just used the elements, and he used what nature usually do. After one thing happens, another thing usually happens. After every action, then there's an opposite and equal reaction. So these things start happening one by one. God didn't need a miraculous thing to happen. He just took elements that he already made, and he said, do what you do. And he was doing this because of these 10 gods that the Egyptians worshipped. Do what you do, elements. So with the wall of Jericho, he pretty much gave them a science lesson. He said, march around there. Why? This wall was built with brick and mortar. I made the brick. I made the mortar. And I'm going to show y'all how you can use vibrations to tear that wall down. But the first thing I need y'all to do is walk around it, because I not only need to get to the Jericho folks, I need to get to your mindset needs to see that I am the Lord your God. Now I'm going to work you. I'm not just going to knock the wall down. You going to knock it down. Y'all better hear me. So he told them to march around Jericho. What was they doing when they was marching around Jericho? You scientists out there, help me out. He told them to keep marching around. What was the marching around doing? Can y'all tell me? Come on, preach this with me, y'all. And when God says, now do this, all right, notice the number 7 always pop up. And as they did this, they went around, they kept going around day by day. It was loosening that foundation. And then he told them, now, here's what you do. Make a noise. Come on, Edward. It weakened that foundation. Get into cadence. Yes, come on. Come on. Vibrations. And then when he told them to make the shout, make the yell, I believe it was the Ella Fitzgerald effect. Antonio, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. It was the Ella Fitzgerald effect because everything has a resonating point. Everything that God made, time, space, continuum, but the space has a lot of, everything is made of matter, okay? Matter. Everything is made of matter, and everything that is matter resonates. That's including water because of the air. Resonates everything. When you're in church and you are somebody speaking, the drum snare has strings up under it, brass strings up under it, with a notch, and the notch, when you do like this, it pushes the string up against the snare, which makes the snare have that sound. When you release the notch, it releases the string, which makes the snare go poop, poop, poop. Put the notch back on. Sometimes when someone is speaking over the microphone, no one is on the drums, the snare would just go while somebody's speaking. So sometimes I'll say, raise your voice. What do you mean raise your voice? Talk a little higher. And they talk a little higher, and then that will go away. Wow. What happened? You are speaking in the resonating point of the snare. You found its point. You understand? Ella Fitzgerald was doing a commercial for Memorex. With that glass, and it went psh, because she hit the resonating point. So in the wall of Jericho story, they hit the resonating point. They all sang or made a sound, not at intervals. I believe they all hit 440, 432, 4000. They hit a certain hertz, and that y'all better hear me. Y'all ain't gonna find that nowhere in the scripture. The Lord gave that to me. Y'all better hear me. That's what's happening in our music. Decibels and hertz and frequencies and sonics have different meanings. A decibel is the volume. So when someone say turn it up, that means turn up the decibel. From 1 to 10. Loud. That's a decibel. But a hertz is a level that the vibration reaches. It either reaches a high or it reaches a low. That tells you the hertz is low, and the lower it is, the lower the number is. And dogs and other animals hear at a certain frequency that we cannot hear. And that's why you buy a dog whistle. You can hear it, but the dog can. And it comes running. That is a frequency level or hertz. But then the other thing is called sonics, because the sonic is how sound is manipulated. So if I'm playing a song at 440 hertz, that's the key of A. That's A. 440, one note. But I can play it loud, or soft. That's a decibel, but it's still the same hertz. Sonic takes it and manipulates it, which is why you have knobs on your speakers at church, or some of you got something at the house called a mixer. Now the mixer gives it bass, gives it treble, gives it mid-range, and then it also gives it reverb. Reverberation is the sound that you hear in your bathroom. This is why many of you believe that you can sing, because you sound so good in the bathroom. Well, you sound the same way. You're singing in the same frequency level, same hertz. It's just that the sound in the bathroom is manipulating the sound of your voice, and it is an unrealistic sound. This is why you hear people singing on stage and they sound horrible, but that same artist that you're playing on your phone, why does he or she sound so good on my phone, but on stage they sound horrible? Because we in the studio can manipulate the sound, the sonic. Y'all call, and sometimes we do auto-tune, but auto-tune isn't manipulation, but it still is messing with the frequency or the hertz. So we put a sonic on the sound. Now you've got a reverb that makes the sound beautiful. This is a reverb. I sound like I'm singing in the recording studio. And some of you say, I'm in the shower. Yeah, 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 yeah. I manipulated my voice. But if I did that again, I'm not going to sound as good. Y'all get it? Are y'all learning anything today? And so that's what this video here is saying.
This is not just a spiritual concept. It's mathematically and
It's not just spiritual. She's talking about the 432 hertz.
Scientifically proven. And because most of us listen to music often and have a way to plug that directly into our ears, it's a great idea to deliberately use specific frequencies as often as possible. In using 432 hertz intentionally, the structure of our atoms and DNA start to resonate in harmony with the phi spiral of nature. Referring back to the plate experiments, here are the differences that these two frequencies make when used. The 432 Hz seems to show a much cleaner and more organized structure.
This is why the fuss, the conspiracy of 432 is what we should use, because of what it does to salt and the shape that it makes. Our bodies and cells in our bodies move to the shape of hertz as well, which can affect our mood. You understand? So that's what they're trying to explain here.
Many people have described similar perceptions over their individual experience of 432 and 440. But some who are not able to distinguish the 8 Hz difference claim that they feel 432 Hz as a warmer, richer, fuller experience that just feels better to them because of the longer wavelength.
Some of you like songs in the key of A flat. Some of you prefer it in the key of B flat. Why? There's only a couple hertz intervals there. There's not that many, but it just sounds better at a certain hertz. A flat or G might be 432, but one whole step above is 440. And I agree, certain songs sound better in certain keys. In the black church, gospel music, much of it was played in 432. The key of G. A lot of the old songs of back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, especially when I go to the Baptist church, it was that key of G. And a lot of it had to do with the guitar. Open, you just do this with the guitar, just play it like that with nothing, just do that, and that's the key of G automatically. Okay. But a lot of the choir songs were played in A flat, G, then moved to A flat, because a lot of the piano players could only play in the black keys. I to this day I hate white keys, and I love white people, But I hate to play in white keys. Why? Because I have been trained and reared up and playing choir music and group music, the boy bands of gospel, and a lot of those were played in the black keys. So A flat was a popular key for choirs, and then it transformed over into the key of C sharp and then E flat, which are still black keys. Y'all understand? So she's saying here, even though some of you can't tell the difference between one whole step above or below, to some people, that's their experience, is what she's saying here. It's a brilliant science study.
And there are videos on YouTube where you can hear the differences in specific music tuned to 432 or 440. It should also be noted that extremely agitated individuals have been observed physically relaxing their breath and their bodies at the instant 432 Hertz is presented to them.
As soon as they hear it, they feel relaxed. Brentic is correct. Quartet, C, D flat, G. What is that? That's white keys. Why? Because quartet music is played on the guitar, mostly. You find a quartet, a group, you're going to find a couple things. You're going to find guitars. Number 2, you're going to find jerry curls. Number 3, you're going to find everybody's dressed in the same suit, and it looks like they ironed their suits. Number 4, the leader going to tell the group to shh, shh. Number 5, he's gonna walk down the aisle and shake y'all's hand and ask y'all, what day were you saved? What day did you come to the Lord? He gonna shake your hand down the aisle, and then the group is gonna follow him. And they're gonna do that for 6 hours straight. All right, let me stop. But it's true. It's true. It's true. All right, here we go.
So what's the actual shape of 432 Hertz? John Stuart Reed, the co-designer of the Cymoscope, which is an accurate device that measures acoustic vibrations, states it like this. 432 Hertz pops out as a triangle.
Now, watch this. This is why 432 is so important. All right? It pops up always as a triangle. There's a message here.
Every time we image it. We thought there was something wrong with the Cymoscope, but after trying for more than an hour, we concluded that the number 3 was somehow universally connected to 432 Hertz. Mm-hmm. We captured it on video also, and it looks like it's alive.
Yep.
It writhes and pulsates and refuses to take up any other form.
I'm telling you, that is God intended. Blessed Trinity. That is God intended. His voice and his handiwork is not just in everything else. Meaning, remember I did that show, I talked about the food. I talked about certain foods is the shape of the body. I talked about kidney beans is shaped like a kidney. I talked about tomato is shaped like the heart. I talked about figs shaped like sperm. Okay, I talked about a carrot is shaped like the eye. Okay, all these food products are shaped like the body because God was trying to tell you, eat that because that food part is for that particular food body, that particular body part. Y'all understand? Well, God did the same thing with the music. But I think he did a lot of that for himself because it has a lot to do with the rainbow. The rainbow in the sky is not for you, although you can enjoy it. It's very beautiful, but the rainbow is for God. Read it again in the scripture. It says, I put a rainbow in the sky for me. Yes, Rose. I believe that music was used to manipulate the emotions of people, good and bad, because in the movies they hire what's called music supervisors, and they put certain music in there to go with so that your mood can change. But that's a temporary thing. But there is a conspiracy out there that Hitler and the German people used this 432, and who else was there? The Rockefeller people used this also to manipulate people as well. That's a whole nother study. So I need to eat mandrake to say, yeah, you do. Get you some mandrake. All right. So it pulsates. Look at this. Hold on. Watch what she says about the other scientist, Tesla.
Nikola Tesla stated, "The brain and the earth itself work on the same frequency."
The brain and the earth itself work on the same frequency. Y'all came from where? You came from the earth, and you're going to return back to dust. So obviously, dust or the earth and you are on the same frequency.
If we can control that resonant system electronically, we can directly control the entire mental system of humankind. Interestingly enough, the application of certain frequencies by frequency-generating devices can enhance cellular resonance and cellular metabolic and electrical functions. And it has been discovered that healthy tissues have more structured water than unhealthy tissues. Clinicians who recognize this fact have found that certain types of music, frequency generators, and chanting can improve water structuring in the tissues and health when they are correctly utilized. In fact, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, or PEMF, has become a popular method of treatment for many physical ailments.
Okay, she goes on and on. All right, it's something that you all want to, you might want to consider. You know, you might now. So let me show y'all what the shapes look like. All right, let me show y'all what the shapes look like. I'm gonna unplug this and just show you the video instead. All right, they put salt down, and then they're gonna show you certain hertz. Vibrate the metal plate by using a tone generator. As the pitch of the tone increases, geometric patterns will form and become more complex. So they're turning the hertz to 470, or 345 hertz, and it makes these shapes. And music don't lie, frequency don't lie, hertz don't lie. It just don't. Now sonics can lie, but right here it doesn't. This is a flat tone, a direct tone. That's causing the salt to form into certain shapes as they move the hertz up further and further. This is what our body is doing when we hear certain hertz vibrations. And this is nothing that they made up, manipulated. This is not Photoshop, okay, special effects. This is what happens in the tone, and this is what God has done. Those who don't believe in God just look at this as a phenomenon. But it is a phenomenon. This is God's showing y'all him. He has encoded himself in music and vibration. And everything that you say, every word that come out of your mouth, it goes into the atmosphere. The hertz is climbing. And this is the study. This is the stuff that I've been studying for many years. I just don't talk about my nerd experiences. But when I started to study back in the early 90s, late 80s, this technology or this science behind music, I was blown away, but I didn't have a platform to explain it. But science has caught up to my, yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. And they keep going up and up. But notice that 432 hertz always make a triangle. I wonder why. Lindsay said, "This is good and nerdy." I'm telling y'all, but I drove my girlfriends. I drove them crazy. I tell you, I drove my ex-girlfriends bonkers. No pun intended. They just couldn't take it. They couldn't take it. They just couldn't. They, you know, we can't be with you. All right. So when you go on online here, let me see if I can find anything right quick. I got so many notes. Clock keeper, I'm going long. it talks about, I don't have time to read it, the 432 hertz versus the 440 hertz. It is a conspiracy theory. All right. So when y'all get a chance to read it, because here they're talking about the Nazi party. Remember I mentioned that earlier? Would you believe that there's a conspiracy theory about the way we tune musical instruments, and it has a lot to do with the Nazis? All right. To understand what all the fuss is about, we need a little bit of historical background. As you know, musical instruments need to be tuned. When you turn your tuning peg on a string instrument and adjust the length of the tube of the wind instrument, it makes it sound a little bit higher or lower. We got that. And then he goes into, what it does, what the hertz does, the vibrates and the per second, on and on. All right. And then he talks about the conspiracy behind 432. All right. And the Nazi minister propaganda. Joseph Goebbels introduced it. And he breaks it down really nicely. So I too don't really believe in all of the hype, but I believe there's a lot of truth to what the Hertz absolutely do. Kirk Franklin fears gospel music may fade into like disco. This is an old article that I talk about how Kirk Franklin, although being a part of the problem, thought that he was part of the solution. Kirk Franklin said this in 2016, I believe it is. It's more than just gospel. Let's see. Let me quote him. I think one of the low points for me is to see a genre that I love so much struggle so hard. All right, I'm bringing this back because I was talking about gospel music, and although it seemed like I went off track, I can't. It's not off track because this will take 2, 3, 4 versions of this teaching. And I know that you've got to be careful because you don't want people to feel like you're whining and complaining, he said. But it is very real that when something gets hit hard, that the thing at the bottom sometimes suffers the worst. Gospel music has really taken a hit as far as the industry. And guess what, Kirk? You did it. You did it. Still, Franklin wanted to make it clear that he is not strictly focused on sales. Okay. And again, saints, it's not about sales. It's almost like with the job that you work at when you hear that your job is about to close down. It's like, man, what am I going to do here? All right, and he goes on and on. But he was the one talking about how he created songs that sound like hip-hop because he wanted to make sure that his children's friends would accept gospel music, and he realized that all they were doing was dancing to his music, but they really wasn't getting saved. They just was dancing to his music. All right, so here is a chart here when I'm recording and I'm trying to make a nice orchestra sound. This is the spectrum in this when I'm trying to find out where does the guitar and the cello lie on the spectrum. So when I'm playing my keyboard, I'm trying to sound like a trumpet. I know that I shouldn't be playing the trumpet over here. I shouldn't be playing the trumpet over here on my piano, but the trumpet lie within this part of the spectrum here, the frequency here. So my keyboard would play from here to here. That is the span of where my keyboard will play if I'm going to play a trumpet or a flute. All right. This is stuff that I had to learn when I was in engineer school, so that when you are trying to play instruments on your piano, that it reaches you can't just play any instrument down here or over here. Okay, that's the spectrum. All right, but it also helped me to mix certain sounds when I'm in the studio. If a trumpet player comes in there, or a saxophone player coming in there, I know where to mix. I put them on the spectrum. All right, that's what music does. That is the nerdiness of the music, and I see some adult stuff coming in here, y'all. You know, we all get hit. Corey from the Smart. I was watching Corey 2 days ago from the Smart Christian channel, and all that porn came in on his channel too. I was like, you get hit with porn too? Boy, what a lucky man you are. Okay. All right. Let me see, did I miss anything? Harmony. I want to make sure, because I'm going to plug this keyboard back in. Okay. This article here, yep, that is why the orchestra is seated the way it is. That's exactly it, brother. While living in South Dakota, I was recording the orchestra, the Rapid City Orchestra, symphonic orchestra. And I brought in my recording equipment, and I would put mics all over the stage, all over the stages. I just dropped mics from the ceiling all over. I had some expensive equipment. I recorded the orchestra that night, took it back to the recording studio, and I mixed the orchestra the way my ear was trained to mix and hear. I gave it to the conductor, and he says, no, that's not right. Thank you, Archer. No, that's not right. I said, what do you mean? He says, you got too many mics over here. He said, you're picking up too much bass. You're picking up too much cello. You're picking up too much flute. That's too much over here. He said, no, I just need 2 mics. One here and one there. That's it. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, you're trying to mix gospel, R&B, soul, soft rock. He said, this is orchestra. We don't mix it that way. It's in a room. We put it in a certain room. So you got too many mics out there. So this stuff here, a lot of stuff is going on in the back, in the back room. That is, a lot of times you all don't know that this stuff is going on. It takes science. It takes somebody with some brilliance and some learning and teaching to make the production for your liking. Before I go live, I have to put so many things together, and these computers got to talk to each other. The mixers got to talk to each other. The whiteboard got to talk to each other. My stream deck got to talk, and this is my webcam got to talk. That webcam got to talk. I got 2 webcams. This microphone got to talk to that. And this keyboard is plugged in over here, and all this stuff is going on. Meanwhile, I've got to read y'all stuff, and everything's got to work right. And if one thing is off, my mentality is off. I just can't take it. I can't take it. I need things to work right. All right, they're back. The noodles colonies. All right, y'all. We went 2 hours and 7 minutes. I did the first half hour. That did an hour and a half, and there's 45 minutes left on that tape. All right. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send it over to Patreon. Let's see. Publish. I'm going to see if this works. Okay. And if you're on Patreon, could you let me know if the video came through? If you're on Patreon, let me know if you got a notification in your emails, ding, that I just uploaded something on Patreon. Now, this is in the free portion of Patreon, so those of you who are paying $12 a month, we're going to have some spicy stuff happening in next week. Okay, some really spicy stuff, some great teaching. But I put it in the free area for all of you to watch. Okay, let me know if it went through. Meanwhile, let me answer a couple questions and let's go. We can go home. All right, it's already 11 o'clock over there on the East Coast. And you said, yep, so you got a notification? Okay. I hope that's what you mean. Let's see. I'm not Church of Christ, in case you are wondering. However, it is some of the most anointed music singing. Okay, but why'd you say that? You said Church of Christ. What are you saying? Oh, the reason we do not use mechanical instruments of music and worship is because we do not have authority from God to do so. What surprises many people is that nowhere does the Bible authorize the church to worship God with a mechanical instrument of music. I highly disagree with that. The book of Psalm 150 gives us several instruments that we play today, that we use today. Now, the New Testament we do see some singing in there. We don't see a whole lot of instrumentation. Maybe you're referring to that, but that doesn't mean there was no instrumentation in there. That we do see a hint of it. And Revelation has got a few instruments in there as well. All right, so I don't know, because it says to encourage one another in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. So it doesn't say get rid of the instruments, though. In order to do that, I'm not sure why God would say get rid of the instruments, but just sing a cappella. So I'm not understanding that. Let's see. D asks, wonder, do Sir support fasting? I sure do. I fast. Why'd you ask that question? Absolutely. Why did a lot of whining music sound cool and seductive, or R&B like, more than gospel? For two reasons. The main reason, because that's what they wanted to sound like, because it's all about the crossover. They didn't want to just talk to you people who are Christians. They wanted to talk to the other people in music. Gospel music they always want their music to cross over. Unfortunately, the ones who are up under a label especially wanted to cross over for financial gain, not to win souls. This is why, again, go to Patreon and watch part 2. I talk about this stuff about, I talk about that there is nowhere in the Bible where God used music to have us to witness to anybody. Music was not used to evangelize. You understand? All right. So the Winans wanted that sound. They wanted, because that's the sound that they listened to, and that's the sound that they enjoyed, and that's the sound they wanted you to enjoy as well. So it may have a seductive feeling to you, but to them it may not be seductive. So in many cases, music is by not so much the person who's delivering the music, their intent of seduction or not, but sometimes you all hear seduction because that's where you are. That's where you are. That's not where the artist is. That's where you are. Because some people will watch my show and they'll see me do hand signals like this. And I'll say, all right, y'all, take care. And they'll say, Illuminati. He's doing Illuminati signs. I don't know what a Illuminati is. I mean, we all know what Illuminati is, but so when they say this is what you're doing, it's where they are. Do y'all understand? So I made the analogy when I was playing Luther Vandross in my car, and the missionary got in. I was getting ready to take her home, and Luther was playing because it was on that station. No, I think I had it I don't know. It was on something. I wasn't paying attention to her. That piano, don't you remember you told me? That piano, that orchestra coming in the back. Ooh, it was so beautiful. Where I was sitting in my flesh, I heard a beautiful sound of an orchestra. Where she was sitting, she heard. Y'all understand? And she rebuked me and said, "You listen to that music? Oh, that's the devil's music. You single, you love God, and won't that have your flesh to rise up?" And then that's when I had to tell her. The bunkers know my answer, right? Yo, I've said this story over and over again. And I told her, I can't help it that this music make you moist. Y'all remember me telling that story? I told it a few times. It does nothing for me, but makes me feel so thankful that I can appreciate wonderful orchestra music. The brilliance of the songwriter and the arranger, how they came together to make this wonderful prosody. That's all I heard. I didn't think about being in somebody's bed. I didn't think about kissing and licking and I didn't think about none of that. It was, matter of fact, come close. Come close. I hear, and I'm going to have to put almost in here. I'm going to have to put almost because some of y'all are just too deep. Somebody capitalized my name. I almost hear more God in secular music than I do today's gospel. Can I get an amen from? It could just be one person. If one person say amen, these 2 hours we done spent was wonderful. I almost hear more God in secular music, not all, than in today's gospel. Oh, woo, look at all these amens. Look at all these amens. Yep, I sure do. Sure do. There's a young man by the name of Jacob Collier. He's got this song called Little Blue. Little Blue. Is it Baby Blue or Little Blue? Little Blue, do 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 do. I heard this song last week and I almost went into worship. Little Blue. He's talking about he was singing to some woman so she can find her way home, and he's on a boat and he's pedaling, looking for Little Blue, and the moon coming down, and I said, oh my God, this is one of the most beautiful songs I've heard all year long, all year. And it's not gospel whatsoever. But I was at church the other day and I heard a gospel song and I was like, can you please turn it off? It does nothing for me. Little Blue. I just started having a Baptist fit. So what I'm getting ready to do is set up a tier on Patreon, and I'm gonna call it the Piano Room. I'm already shooting some stuff. I'm gonna call it the Piano Room for adults only. And the Piano Room is where y'all will go and listen to me play love songs. I'm gonna do my romance in the park in that room. I'm gonna talk about my relationship books in that room. And we're going to unpack these love songs and why they are so brilliantly written. We're gonna go all the way back, y'all. It's called the Piano Room for adults only. Yes, I'm setting that up next week on Patreon. It's gonna be $5. It's gonna be $5 a month. Now, don't y'all be jumping out of the Bible study Patreon over into the piano one. You know, y'all can be in both of them if you want to, but don't be leaving, canceling your $12 subscription, and then going over to. Oh yeah, I'm excited about that one, the Piano Room. Oh, it's gonna be precious to me because this is again, Andre 3000 walked away. He didn't walk away completely, but he decided to play his flute while he was high on LSD. While he was high on LSD playing his flute, he decided this is the sound I like. This is the sound that's speaking to me as I morph into a wolf. As I morph. Well, I like gospel. I like praise and worship. I like congregationals. I like that. But give me a love song any day and watch me flow on the piano. So, the Piano Room. It's going to just be me in that room. Y'all can join me if you like. $5. $5. Okay. Now, somebody put up there, I think it was Carla, says the music soothes the savage beast. We all thought it said that. But we did a show on that. Let me, and I kept asking y'all, can you go to Google to help us out so I won't look illiterate? And none of y'all went to Google to help me out. I'm looking, even my moderators, nobody. So here it is right here. Music, magic or not, can soothe savage beasts. The original quote this title originated is from this. Music has charms to soothe a savage breast. That is the right quote. The phrase was coined by the playwright poet William Congreve in The Morning Bridge, 1697. The quote is used contemporarily. Do you understand? So it's breast. And for those of you who said it can't be, well, we did that show already. It just took a simple Google search. If you keep looking at the other ones, you'll still see beast, but then it corrects it by saying breast. It corrects it by saying breast. Y'all see what I'm saying? But beast can be used because here in America's Keswick, music has charms to soothe the savage breast, that is. But beast is in Latin. All right? You got it? You understand? So it's breast. Music soothes. Music has charms to soothe a savage breast. All right? Now, back then, that type of vernacular is used differently than it is today. In biblical, especially Bible, words that are Old English, which is German. Our language is German. I will be doing that show for the Patreon people, the $12 people. I'm going to pour some more deep teaching into y'all where language comes from and how we can use this to our advantage, okay? All right, because again, the $12 people is putting me in college. And because the $12 people are putting me into college, I'm taking them to college with me. Where is my, there it is. All right, so the people who are giving $12 a month in Patreon, they will be enrolling in Moody Bible Institute with me. So every time I learn a lesson that I think needs to be shared, I'm putting it in Patreon. You all are going to go to school with me. You paying my tuition. So you're going to get your money's worth. So I'm gonna teach y'all all I know, all I learned. And we're going to have questions and answers. So after each show, I'm going to ask y'all a bunch of questions, and I need you to get it right in the comments section. And I know all the ones who were in the 12 in the premium, I see each one of you, and if you didn't answer it, I'm going to hit you over the email and say, hey, where's your answer? Oh, I didn't watch the video. Get over there and watch the video. I want an answer. Y'all putting me in school. You going to school with me. Y'all walking me to school every day. All right. So if you haven't signed up, go right there, go to the premium, and go to school with me, so that we all can learn together. Oh, Clear Faith Pastor asked a question, a great one. Where do you see Kojic going? Oh man, that answer is going to take some prayer and fasting. Can I say this to you, Pastor? This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I was talking to someone today, and they used the word contemporary, and I thought it was a great question, a great answer. Bishop Sheard is a contemporary leader. Pastor Devin, yes. Bishop Sheard is a contemporary leader. Did the church need a youthful leader? Yes, like America does. Biden is dirt old. So is Trump. Congress is dirt old. We need some young blood because that generation is dying off. So who are you talking to? We need to rear up some of the young people so that they can take the America to the next 100 years. Kojic needed some youth on. We still need elders. When I say elders, I'm talking about age-wise on the board. Yes. On the general board, absolutely. We needed a young person. We got it. But sometimes getting a young person can be to your disadvantage because that person is too contemporary. Remember the Mormon situation? That Mormon scandal was a hint. All right, y'all. This is the after set. And I know we almost 2.5 hours over. I know. But typically, our show ends in another 5 minutes anyway. We just started early. Okay. Typically, when you get somebody young and so involved and so hip, they too involved and too hip and they assimilate too much. The Mormon thing was a hint to the church at large. You understand? So we need youth in the helm, but we need Timothy youths in the helm. Timothy youths. The Apostle Paul says, don't be discouraged because people are saying you're too young. He was talking to Timothy. The Lord blessed Timothy. He was a powerhouse. He was old school too. He knew the scriptures, like Apollos as well. But sometimes they have to be sat down and be shown a more perfect way. You understand? So just because someone had been in office so long and you elevate them and to put them in the helm in the major seat, like that seat is a major seat, and not really check his work. So I like Sheard. I think he loves the church. That Mormon thing opened up Pandora's box to where he was. I can boldly say that today. So if that continues, the church is going to try it again. But by that time, apostasy would have set in the church, because apostasy is creeping in the church in an alarming rate. Don't get excited over a convocation that happened 1 week in Memphis. Look at the church from January to November and see what was going on. Check the temperature of the church and you're going to see something that makes God vomit. So I know we had a great time at the convocation, but it's easy to play church. Am I in trouble? Blessing to you, Marlon. You understand? So check the temperature. The church coaches got a fever and they don't know it. Coaches got a fever. Put a thermometer in their mouth and it's going to shh, and they don't know it. There are people who are walking around with walking pneumonia. There are people who are walking around, they're drunks, but what do you call those people who drink, but they function? They're functioning alcoholics. Kojic has a temperature and it's getting hotter. And they don't even know that they're sick. I can say that on the show. Some of you can't say it because maybe your positions. All right. You agree, Pastor? Yeah. So most Kojic won't get to this part in the show to hear this part because we talked about Andre 3000. The thumbnail speaks of Andre 3000. They won't even come over here. And when they do come over here, they're not going to fast forward to this part. They won't ever hear it unless y'all share it. They will never hear it. I will literally have to do a Kojic show and talk about the church's temperature. You got a fever. Mm-hmm. Yes, a new Reformation will birth out. Here I am. I'm one. And there are others who are doing it. I just don't mention their names. They don't want to be heard right now, but they are silently gathering. And I'm not saying that the church is going to split per se, although we've had several splits, smaller splits. We had splits. And the homosexuals have their own convocation at somebody said we're having a sleepover tonight. That's funny. Yeah, that's good material. The homosexuals are having their own convocation. I'm talking Kojic homosexuals. The reason why you don't see a whole lot of them at the convention much anymore is because they've already met at a gay, Kojic, holy convocation. Oh, I get the inside scoops. It's separate. Mm-hmm. Yes. And those people have their leaders and what have you. They still look at Bishop Sheard as their leader, but they have their own little factions. They sure do. I know that firsthand. All right. So the church has a temperature problem. So when somebody gets up in church at the mic and talk about homosexuals, and the whole church get up and jump up and down because somebody mentioned the homosexual, the church love to hear that you rebuke the homosexual. They love to hear that. But when you look at the dais up there with all those seats, many of those men had a man in their bed the night before. And they're the ones that had to jump up because everybody's watching. I'm telling you what I know firsthand. I know it firsthand. So the church has a temperature. It needs healing and deliverance. And I'm with you, Pastor. A reformation is coming up out of that. He's not going to let us just go down, with some type of a Pied Piper thingy. That's not going to happen. Remnants will be saved out of that. No, it's not sanctioned. They can't sanction something like that. But do they know about it? Absolutely they do. No, I'm not fixing that comment. I know I know firsthand those homosexuals. I know who they are, and I know they tell me stuff because they trust me. They trust me. Y'all know who I am. So I know. Y'all know I don't fear nobody. Y'all know that, right? All right. Hey, where y'all pillows at? Because y'all know this is a sleepover, right? Where y'all pillows at? Because we went 2 hours and 30 minutes. Did we break a record yet? Sleepover. All right. So, I get it. Yeah, God help us. God help us. We're in trouble. All right. Candy said, I'm geared for the sleepover. You gonna bring the snacks, DW? Yeah, we having a sleepover. All right, you got your pillow, the actress, and my heated pad. Shirley up under her covers. And somebody was like, "No, we're not having no sleepover." Am I flying to Oklahoma? I'm gonna drive. I'm not gonna fly. Y'all pray for me in this flying thing. I get sick when I fly. I gotta fix that. I gotta fix that. Roger said, record has officially been broken. All right, y'all, let me get out of here before it be 4 hours long. Listen, y'all, we used to start the show at 11 o'clock p.m. Sometimes we would start the show at 12 o'clock midnight. Raise your hand if you remember the early days of the Sirwalterj Jones Show. We started at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, which was 12 o'clock your time, most of you are on the East Coast, and we went an hour and a half. We did that for a couple years, and y'all was watching. Remember them days? Now y'all done got old and tired. Y'all done got old and tired. Yeah, I know you remember it. I know you remember. The actress remember it. Quite a few. There are other bunkers that are not here, not with us anymore. Oh, they remember it. We used to start at 11 o'clock and go until 1 in the morning. That means 2 o'clock, y'all. And those people stayed here. You remember when we prayed for those children who was in a tunnel and couldn't get out? I started the show at 2 a.m. I think it was 2 a.m. I started the show, your time. And I went for another hour, and all those people showed up and prayed with me. Y'all remember that? Come on now. Y'all done got so old you can't. Can thou not wait 1 hour? Now I see why Jesus said, go on to sleep. He did go on to sleep. Can y'all not wait 1 hour? He said 58 is real. God, I thank you for your presence. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for these people who hung with me. They hung out with me. They hung out with me. Faithful to the bone. I hope they got something. Now pour back into them, God. Give them sweet rest tonight. I know you're going to give me sweet rest. Keep my mind focused so that I can get these essays in. God, thank you for the people who've been supporting the Patreon channel. They are a blessing. Pour back into their pockets. 30, 60, 100-fold. Give them 100-fold. Will you please, God? Do it for me. We love you and we give your name the praise in Jesus' name. Thank God. Amen. All right, y'all. Take care of yourselves and one another. We'll see you again. I might do a midday connection tomorrow. I think I'm gonna try to do a midday connection tomorrow, and then I'm gonna take a break for a few days, shoot some videos for the piano room, and then for my other Patreon folks. And so I'll see you Saturday for Sunday school. All right. Take care of yourselves and one another.
Fellas, does it seem like you can't get a good woman? Ladies, wonder why you can't keep a man? Then read The 4 Women That Men Desire, Volume 1, by Sirwalterj to figure out how to break the cycle. Go to Amazon.com to get your copy today.
Right, Mr. Walters?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?